It's great speaking with you today, James, and looking forward to hearing your views today on e-commerce in China. Before we start,
Yes.
can you provide a brief background of yourself?
Mhm. Sure. So thanks. I'm James Eron. I'm the partner at Kung Fu Data. We are an e-commerce operator and analytics firm. So I myself spent nearly a decade in China working in the data center services and e-commerce space. Previous to that, I was a consultant working on financial services in both China, Japan, and the US. So happy to be here today.
Can you first talk a little bit about what is e-commerce in China?
Sure. So e-commerce in China is literally one of the biggest things, biggest industries that come out of China. The market in China is about 18%. All of the B2C or business to consumer purchases transaction out of that, upwards of 18% are now done online via the e-commerce platforms.
Well, how about for foreigners that want to take advantage of opportunities in China with e-commerce? How can
Mhm.
people take advantage of the opportunities?
Sure. So when you talk about foreigners, specifically, we're talking about foreign brands, like not non-domestic brands. Many companies, many brands produce in China, but separate from that, we're looking at sales to Chinese consumers. So there are a couple of ways that foreign companies can participate in the China e-commerce market. One of the largest ones is via the Alibaba Tmall platform. So Alibaba itself has upwards of 65% of the market share for large online platforms in China. That compares to about 2% for Amazon in China, 1 to 2%. And foreign brands can join the Tmall platform if they have first of all, the first way is if they have a domestic entity, you can register as a Tmall domestic site. But many foreign companies do not yet have a presence in China, or at least not beyond manufacturing in China. And so for those companies, you can set up what's called a Tmall global store, and it's effectively run through Tmall.hk or Tmall Hong Kong.
And how would the logistics and fulfillment be handled? Are there any significant challenges?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so for the logistics part of it, I get asked this quite often, and actually the logistics part is one of the easiest pieces in the overall selling into China equation, because there's many 3PLs or third-party logistics companies, and also Alibaba itself has its logistics arm called Sainyao, which many of the third-party logistics companies plug into. So generally, producers our brands in the U.S. and foreign countries will ship to for Tmall global sites. They will ship into bonded warehouses in the free trade zone, and then the fulfillment will actually take place from those warehouses to go across into China domestic proper. That's generally how things are moved into the country.
How about marketing and sales? What are some best ways that companies are doing marketing when they're using Tmall or other e-commerce platforms?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So Tmall and Taobao and JD and VIP, those are all platforms where the actual transaction takes place, right? It's the conversion. In sales terms, we call that the bottom of the funnel, right? At the top of the funnel, you have creating the consumer awareness, and then there's search, and then there's web pages or e-commerce pages that go down, and then finally somebody clicks to buy, right? So the actual buying occurs on the Tmall and Taobao VIP shop and other platforms. But in order for that transaction to take place, people have to know about your brand or know about that your brand is being sold on that platform. So the question is, how do you create awareness? The first way to do that is if you are in the platform itself, you can do keyword optimization. You can buy certain banners or AdWords. So that those are the things that are done inside the platform. But to even get to the platform, typically you want to create your out-of-platform marketing, and that occurs on the generic search engines like Baidu. It also occurs on the WeChat channel and the Weixin and Weibo social media channels. So what we do oftentimes for our customers is we have our marketing strategy includes both the online, which is buying keywords inside the platform, and also out of platform marketing, which includes social media.
And do you have any final recommendations then regarding e-commerce in China?
Mm-hmm. Well, we always say that understanding the data in the market is very important. So understanding how big is your market, how big is your category? So if you're selling cosmetics, for instance, how big is the cosmetics category? How big is your specific subcategory of lipstick? And then within that category, how many people are buying at your price point? So if your price point is 20 RMB, that's a very different price point than 200 RMB. So you want to know how many people are buying your product in that price range, because those are your potential customers. So we say understand the market data, also understand what's happening with your brand, how many sales, how many unit sales, what was the sales revenue in RMB for your products on the Tmall or Taobao platform or in China e-commerce. And then the third thing we look at is what is your competitive landscape? How many people are selling, first of all, your products? How many people are selling your competitors' products? What are the sales volumes, the unit volumes of that? How are those trends changing over time? And that includes drilling into competitor stores to understand how those stores are being operated, how many SKUs, what price points, what type of advertising, keyword searches, etc. that they're using.
How are you today, James?